Atop Salvokop Hill, in the heart of South Africa's Gauteng province, lies a place of memory, recognition, and deliverance, where the shackles of the past yield to the hard-won freedoms of the future. Freedom Park is a complex of interpretive displays and meditative spaces dedicated to the long history of courage, sacrifice, and tenacity that made this country's democracy possible. The park has welcomed citizens and visitors for close on 2 decades to experience the heritage and history of South Africa through a very special lens. Here, tribute is paid to the indomitable human spirit. From the beginning of time, the peoples of Africa have struggled adversity, but hope and humanity have often prevailed. That is the proud message that is heard in all the features of Freedom Park. The indoor Kapo Museum takes the visitor into the space of South Africa's collective dreams and nightmares, on a journey through 7 epochs presented in stories, objects, artifacts, graphics, and sounds. In the first epoch, called Earth, the African conception of cosmic and human origins is explored through a mix of science and storytelling. In the second epoch, we interrogate the concept of ancestors, starting with the earliest hominids and ending with the recently departed. Here we recognize the spiritual practices and ceremonies that have lasted through the ages and remember how our forebears laid the foundations of our many and varied spiritual cultures. The peopling of our continent and country is traced in the third epoch, from the ancient origins of our species to the more recent migrations of the people who make up our modern demographic mix. Peopling brings our story into the modern era. Resistance and colonization shows the struggles of indigenous peoples against successive waves of colonization and how oppression, segregation, and exploitation impacted on their way of life. The social and economic harms that resulted from colonial industrialization, especially the large-scale exploitation of mineral resources, are poignantly experienced in the epoch called industrialization and urbanization. The concept of labor in this epoch is represented by the trappings of mining, farming, garment industries, unions, and domestic work. Nationalism and struggle takes us forward into the recent battles for autonomy, equality, and democracy. In this space, we witness the birth of the new South Africa, an inclusive, unified, democratic nation. Inclusive and exclusive nationalisms are explored, as are the various arms of the struggle against apartheid. Finally, the epoch of nation building and continent building takes our dream forward, from the advent of our constitutional democracy into the future. Freed of the tyrannies of the past, our people move into the new millennium with hope and determination. In the open air is Freedom Park's Garden of Remembrance, with its spaces of meditation and gathering. Isivivane is the spiritual resting place of those who played a role in the liberation of South Africa. The Lesaka, with boulders from the different provinces, welcomes the visitor in remembrance of those who made the ultimate sacrifice. The Lekgotla is a place of gathering with a central tree and honors the age-old tradition of African communities to meet under a canopy of branches. Skhumbuto is the park's main memorial and bears testimony to the nation's fallen heroes in the 8 wars fought through the ages that shaped the current geopolitical landscape of modern South Africa. It is towered over by hundreds of symbolic reeds that express the nation's rebirth. The Wall of Names, of which there are 450,000, commemorates those who stood for liberty and lost their lives. These names may seem innumerable, but they represent only a few of the fallen in the many wars fought through the ages on South African soil. The Gallery of Leaders recognizes that our battles for freedom were not fought alone. We were supported by leaders and champions from across the globe. The gallery honors national, continental, and international political players whose contributions to our freedom are considered exceptional. Whether it be a hushed moment in the quiet sanctuary where you commune with your departed loved ones, a veneration of our nation's heroes in Isvivane, or a view of the grand eternal flame surrounded by water that best expresses your mood, all offer a reflection on the great gifts bequeathed by the departed who are not forgotten. Freedom Park, a place of reflection, learning, and celebration. It expresses the spirit of Ubuntu that has made possible the transition from division and violence to a unified nation. In spaces such as these, South Africa's people are gradually healing the wounds of history.